Recording started.
Bill, are you just reading words that you see on the screen?
I can't help it. I told you I'm as left-handed. I think I'm more left-handed than you, son.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the hell it is, sports fans. I'm Chris Vitali. You're back with Southpaw. We got a full house. The gang's all here today. We got Wayne Franklin next to me. We got Rocco Constantino next to Wayne. We got Will Ohman down below me, but with Wayne behind him, even though Wayne is up above to his, I don't know. We got Bill Pulsipher right here. What's going on, Bill?
Howdy.
And last but not least, our returning champion, Glendon Rusch. How are you, brother? Been a little while since we did the last show, a little over like a week and a half. And a few things happened. The George Kirby situation happened, but I think that ship sailed. I think enough people piled on that poor bastard, so maybe we move along. But, I'm sure he wasn't the first guy to think it, but he was the first guy that we've heard say it. Anyway, that kind of brings me into something else that happened yesterday. Blake Snell, San Diego Padres, Blake Snell, Cy Young candidate. So Snell comes out, got 103, 104 pitches, 7 innings. It's not the first time that we've seen it. Same guy who Kevin Cash pulled in the World Series. What do you guys think about that? Coming out 7 innings in with a no-hitter. Glendon, I'll start with you.
That one hurt my feelings a little bit last night because normally you can kind of expect it. But, man, I mean, you don't get that many opportunities to do something special like that. And I feel like if anyone out there, he's one of the guys that's earned it. But generally he doesn't go that deep in games. But, man, it would have been fun to watch him at least keep going out there. I think it was a 0-0 game too, right?
I think
so. It went 0-0 into the ninth. I think so.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm not even sure how many guys came in after him. But
I would have loved to see him go like hitter to hitter at least.
Right? You want to, if he gets in a little trouble, you take him out. I mean, It's something. The Padres are almost out of it far enough where, what are they playing for? Give the fans something fun to watch. Will, what are your thoughts on that coming out 7 innings, no hitter going?
Yeah, I mean, like Lennon said, he doesn't have a history of going too deep into games. They're ostensibly out of it. So ownership, manager, protect the investment. But as a pitcher, as a pitcher, I don't know where, the longest distance traveled is from the head to the heart. And I'm wondering why he didn't just say, you know what, no, you're not taking me out. Yeah, and maybe he's playing that angle, and maybe just said, I really didn't want to go out there for the 8th.
I doubt that.
Yeah. Well,
I think I don't to interject, and I know I always do that, so I apologize. But I think the 138 pitches Johan Santana threw to throw his no hitter, and then his shoulder was hamburger. After that, might have changed things. I know everybody sitting on this panel at 103 pitches would have wanted to go back out there, but I think that maybe the thought process has changed a little bit. I mean, obviously, you could have went out there and had 2 10-pitch innings and been done in 123 pitches. But I think that has something to do with the way that things are looked at now, that a guy that was possible borderline going to be a Hall of Fame pitcher, and his career kind of took a drastic turn after that. Now, granted, he hurt himself in spring training. What was it, with the Orioles or something? He hurt his ankle when he was trying to come back after his shoulder got blown out. But 103, he was probably looking at 130 plus. Not that we haven't done it. But I think that probably has something to do with it.
To be fair, Bill, I'm going to interject back. I'm going to go Edwin Jackson threw 149 pitch no hitter with 8 walks.
Wow. Yes. Was that? We had Diamondback then. Who was he playing with?
And his shoulder was definitely not hamburger because he played with 33 other teams.
Exactly. He played with and there's 33.
Absolutely. He's the cheat code for that immaculate grid, man. He really is. Wayne, what do you think about that? 100. I think it might have been 104, but still, whatever. 103, 104, whatever it takes.
It was 0-0 game, right? You said?
We think so.
I understand. Especially this time of year. Push for playoffs. 0-0. Yeah, definitely. I get it. But why not ask the catcher? Catchers always know what your stuff is like. Ask this catcher. Say, hey, is this stuff still good enough to get him out? Get guys out? How's it look compared to fifth inning? I don't know. I know I'd want to stay out there.
Yeah, I think all of us would.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't get too many
Glendon,
opportunities.
will you stay out?
And definitely not at the big league level. You don't get that many opportunities. So you want to take
right.
those if you get them.
I'm 100% out back in that game, and probably going to go out and give up 2 and take the L. But I would have out there.
Right. I was begging for a fourth hitter.
Yeah.
Sometimes a second.
Well,
I'm not even sweating yet, Coach.
You could have used that, 3-batter minimum at that point. Well,
that's dumb. Anyway, next.
Terrible thing.
Agree.
But okay, so that kind of brings me to a point about combined no hitters, because that's probably what we're going to be seeing 70% of the time that a no hitter happens from here on out, with pitch counts, with what's going on, protecting guys' arms. Is that a real thing? Do you think they count?
Same as Twitter and a sweeper.
So it's just a pile of bull.
They're a no hitter, but they're not. You can't put it on somebody's. Hey, this guy threw a. When they count the number of no hitters, I think in big league history, we want to talk about the guys that got all 27 outs and did it. It's a thing because the game's over and there's no hits, but I don't think it should be celebrated like one guy getting all 27 outs and nobody getting a hit off of them. That's obviously.
No.
I agree.
You're not going to carry 4 guys off the field. It's just not going to happen.
Hey, the
I
media.
think the Mets tried that last year. I think they tried that.
Who got hurt during that? If they did try,
Diaz probably. It was a lingering from the World Baseball into the World Baseball Classic, I believe.
Everybody knows it's different. Everybody knows it's different. Even the media. Why would they call it a combined no hitter if they thought it was a no hitter? Period.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Rocco, what do you think? The way I look at it, it's almost like, well, X team got no hit, as they like. I don't see it as it's not the same accomplishment to me.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not the same, but it is still a pretty good accomplishment. There's something about that one guy out there trying to finish that no hitter. It brings fans in. It creates drama. It's not the same drama as a combined no hitter. But what kind of changed my mind on that a little bit was I had interviewed Greg Olson, the closer, and he closed out a combined no hitter, and he said that was the most nervous he ever was in his entire career. And that's the guy that's been, he's been in a lot of tough spots, and he said that was his thing. So for somebody to have closed one out and have that feeling, to me it's still a monumental accomplishment, but just different, like Wayne said, different than one guy out there doing all 27. But still fun to watch, still interesting curiosity more than a big piece of history is the way I see it.
Yeah, and now, I think was it Syndergaard that called them all bullshit or something like that? But
Syndergaard doesn't like anything. I don't think.
I know. That's what I was going to say. Take that with a grain of salt.
He doesn't like anything.
Will, I think you have some thoughts on this, don't you?
I do. Thank you for calling my name.
Please share, Will.
I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to interrupt. So I would say the difference to Rocco's point. It's an accomplishment for sure. I've been part of them. And it is nerve-wracking. However, instead of a singular performance, you're talking about a systemic failure by a team. That's the problem. That's the problem for me.
That's kind of what I meant by by the other team getting.
Yeah, they got. Yeah, another team didn't get any hits tonight, as opposed to a no hitter. That right.
Yeah,
but that's cool. I was going to ask if you guys were ever.
It's just crappy.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just. And so who were the other guys?
It didn't go on anybody's stat sheet. If Pedro Martinez doesn't get a no hitter pitching into the finishing 9th, and then goes into the 10th and finishes the 10th, if he doesn't get a no hitter for that, then what the hell is the difference? And what the hell is the point? of having 4 or 5 guys combined, because it's not, like Bill said, it's not going on anybody's stat line.
That's true. That's true. I mean, so
if it was able to be attributed to something, or if they even had a team statistic for it, kind of like there should be a team error on a ball that's hitting the infield and drops in the triangle.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. We all would agree with that, I believe.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there where
that.
there's a couple of things there where you need to do some manner of team statistic, and perhaps they'll come up with it because the propeller heads like to invent new initials for everything. So
There's that word again.
well, Will,
find me a better one.
I think it hits the nail right on the head.
I might have to put those on the beer helmets. We'll do a little propeller head beer helmet thing. That could be fun. But so, Will, you said you were a part of one. I was going to ask you guys if you had ever been a part of one. Who did you combine for that no-hitter?
I was in the minor leagues, and I honestly can't remember. I remember I came in actually in the big leagues. I came in, and it was the weirdest scenario of all time. His name's going to come up later when you ask questions about injuries. But I came in for Mark Pryor in Washington, and he was working his way back, so his pitch count wasn't quite up yet. And I think he had gotten through either 4 2/3 or 5 1/3, and it was no hit. And Dusty went out there, got him, brought me in, and Mark gives me, "Come on, let's go." And the whole time I'm thinking, this is surreal. Like they haven't reached base. Like, so A, why am I in? B, why are you leaving?
Yeah.
And it wasn't his fault. I mean, they were protecting their investment as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, because at that point in the game, he's not finishing it. But I think he was on a restricted 85 pitch count anyway.
Well, then,
can I tell a quick no-hitter story? Because I've always thought this.
I was just going to ask if you guys have any good no-hitter stories.
Art Kushner, and his name was Cave, and they called him Hard Cave. He was our bullpen coach with the White Sox in 01, and this guy was a dandy. And he was a big league catcher. I believe he was more of a backup than a starting guy. And he said he caught one of Nolan Ryan's no-hitters, one of his 7 no-hitters. And he called me Purse. He didn't call me Pulse. Hey, Purse, I caught one of Nolan's no-hitters. And his curveball was so good that night, I had to catch it like this. And he turned himself sideways because he had to catch because he couldn't face the batter. He had to turn sideways because it was sweeping so much around, and I just thought it was hilarious.
It's a sweeper.
This is us sitting on the back of the airplane, and he's drinking his rums and cokes, and he said, I had to turn this way to catch his curveball. I thought that was so funny.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I mean, have you guys ever been there on, while somebody on your staff threw a no-hitter?
Yeah.
Not in the big leagues. I threw one in the Eastern League Finals in 1994, excuse me. But
what's your men's league hitting approach?
Pulse, you threw one in '94 in the minor leagues?
In the Eastern League in the final series, yeah.
Oh my
That's
God,
awesome.
We're brothers.
The first one since 1958 was the time before. Hammer time.
Same year.
Yeah, you
Nice.
threw one too?
94 in the Midwest League. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
If we're getting around the campfire, I threw 2 complete game shutouts back to back in the Florida State League.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
both were rain. Both were rain shortened.
There's
awesome.
nothing better.
5 innings, right?
Oh, absolutely! 5 innings, torrential downpour, bang the game. Put a CG shutout on my card.
Or was it the double header complete game shutout, right? The second game, 7-inning game.
Oh yeah.
I
Love it.
I had a outing, 2 back-to-back outings in Puerto Rico on winter ball. Lost a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Ray Ordonez ended up getting the hit, who was my shortstop in '94 when I threw the no-hitter. The very next game, 5 days later, I gave up a hit to Joey Cora to start the game and retired 27 batters in a row. So I was that close.
Man.
Combined
Almost
217 career hitters busted up your no-nos.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Dude, I gave up a home run to David Eckstein, okay? So not many guys can say that.
Hey, just for Rocco for the end of the show to correct that too. His name's Ray Cordonez, not Ray Ordonez.
Ordonez? No, Ray was my guy, bro. Forget about it.
Ray Cordonez.
Cordonez.
Yes. Remember that's what Rickey Henderson called him, Ray Cordonez.
Ricky doesn't know anybody's name besides Ricky.
You've heard the John Olerud story, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Glendon, do you know this, though? Because this is the third time I've heard this, and I've had to tell people it's not true. Scotty Lawrence made it up.
It's a completely fabricated story that went viral. It's the greatest ever.
It's baseball lore now. Scotty Lawrence, who was the trainer at the time, and he was great. This guy was a comedian. He was hilarious.
Okay, hold on. Time out. Before you dispel the incredible myth,
we got to have the story.
Rocco and Chris, do you guys know this story?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
and
you're
it's
totally
so
wrong.
believable.
He wore a guy.
So
I played with the guy that wore a helmet just like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Greatest.
Scotty Lawrence made it up.
Yep. Our trainer fabricated the whole story and it went viral.
Yep.
That's
Trainer made
fantastic.
the story up. See, that part I
This
didn't
is
know.
literally the third time in 2 weeks that this story has been brought up, and I've had to tell him. I know it's one of the best stories you could imagine, but it's just false.
Honestly, the best part and my favorite part about the whole thing is everyone that tells the story now, I just let them tell it, and I don't tell anyone that's not.
You know what?
Unless they're on a podcast and you can embarrass them.
Yeah, no, it's better because I like the fact that all you will know that it's not a true story. But other people tell it, it's the best.
That's
fantastic.
I'm surprised it was the trainer. It seems like something that might have come out of like the Jay Horwitz playbook or something.
Scotty was comedy gold, man.
He was good.
He was witty as hell, man. This guy was good.
Good trainers there in New York at the time.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard the one?
100%.
There's one about him on the spring training bus. Have you guys heard that one?
Yeah.
The one about the
tenure.
Yes. Oh my
Ricky
God.
got 20 years.
He said 10 years. He got 18 years.
I've told. At some point we'll tell. I love my Rickey Henderson story is the greatest. I love it. I was sitting.
Go ahead.
All right, let's tell it. So it was the famous, hey, let's see if Ricky knows who you are type of deal. And I rode next to the whole first part of that year in 2000. I rode next to Pat Mahomes on the bus because I was still doubling up. It was my third year in the big leagues, and I was still carrying beer and doubling up on the bus. And Pat Mahomes would be nice enough to let me sit next to him or somebody else. But we're riding somewhere after a flight, and Pat's like, watch this, G-Rush. And he turns the light on me above, the headlight. And he's like, Ricky. Ricky turns around, and he's like, Pat goes, who is this? And he kind of turns around and looks back in front of the bus. Then he turns back around and he goes, you know who that is? That's Lefty. That was the greatest. That's the best. I love that one.
Hey, you had Al Leiter on that club, and you were Lefty though.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. That's not
good
bad.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh man.
I think if you get the name Lefty dropped on you as a left-handed pitcher, that's pretty good shit.
Especially by Ricky. Yeah.
Yeah, especially exactly.
He was awesome. What a great dude and great teammate.
My Ricky story was we text about that, but we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No, we'll leave that alone. But,
hey, maybe we should can we bring up the elephant in the room? Speaking of Pulse, can we talk about that?
What?
Let's talk about that wonderful picture that Pulse shared of him and Doc Gooden talking.
Oh,
that is.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
My mind was blown, but he was throwing on the mound in fantasy camp, which I guess the time prior to that was obviously at Old Timers Day. He threw on the mound, but I guess he told me this. He was pissed because they gave him Sid's pants and they were way big on him, and they were falling down. So I think that he kind of felt like he needed to get back out on the mound again, and he went out there and threw 10, 15 pitches or so. And he beelines it off the mound to the dugout, and I'm standing there, and he comes over to me, and Doc Gooden says to me, "What did you see? What do you think? What did you see?" And I'm like, I said, "You know what?" I said, "You look like you had a little bit of a stall in the back there with your arm. I'd like to see you keep that arm motion moving a little bit." He played right along with it, and then lo and behold, I get home from fantasy camp, and a good friend of mine, Dave Levy, who I met 4 years ago at camp, sends me a photo, and it's I knew it. I knew exactly the field, exactly what it was, and that's the two of us standing there, and I'm critiquing Doc Gooden's pitching mechanics, which I would have never in a million years would have guessed that I would have had the opportunity
awesome.
to critique my hero, my boyhood idol, critique his pitching mechanics. It was awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff.
He had the best line ever. Remember his line? He said one of the campers was like, "Doc, let's see Uncle Charlie. Doc, let's see Uncle Charlie." He goes, "Uncle Charlie, it's cousin Larry now." We're like cousin Larry.
It's good when you can get to the point where you can laugh at yourself a little bit, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta laugh at yourself.
God, what an amazing, his early on, his first years in the big leagues were unbelievable.
Could watch that all day.
Yep.
Anytime anybody starts disparaging Doc Gooden, I try to explain to them.
You just don't know.
18 years old, African American, New York City, mid 80s. Like it's mind-boggling to be the top of the top of the top in your profession at 18 years old. And anytime I see that photo of Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, and Mike Tyson, and Mike's pretend like he's landing the punch on Doc's chin there, like that. If that's not the epitome of mid 80s New York and mid 80s just pop culture in general, like that's it right there. That is it.
Yeah, that's a heavy photo
for sure. I love it.
Great one.
But, I found that actually brings me to this too. I found this question on just perusing Twitter yesterday that somebody asked, if you could pick one player to have a completely injury-free career, who would it be? So I said Mickey Mantle because I think, considering he just ripped his knee to shreds as a rookie and still went on to do everything that he did, I just think it would have been otherworldly if he was able to do it with two legs
and a liver.
That part, there's that too. But so I figured I'd ask you guys that same question. You can get one position player and one pitcher. So. Obviously, I'm going to go with Mickey Mantle as the position player for the reasons I just stated. He basically played his whole career on a torn ACL, and they didn't have any way to fix it back then. And as a pitcher, I'm going to go Sandy Koufax.
Oh, yeah, he took my pitcher.
How could I not? But, Bill, you told me to start with you on this one, so I'm going to grant your wish. Yeah, this one's all you, man.
Well, this guy never even made it to the major league level, but he was the #1 overall pick the same year that I got drafted in '91, and that's Brian Taylor, who was drafted by the Yankees overall. I think it was Will. You said like first $1 million bonus baby. Who was it? I can't remember it in our text thread, but
that's what I said that.
I'm sorry, Wayne. I apologize.
No, it's no problem.
I got a chance to see him when I was in extended spring training, which is after the full season clubs leave when you're a young guy, and that you stick around for another 6 weeks before you go to your short season ball club. And we would go and watch some of the Florida State League games, and I got a chance to sit right behind home plate with the scouts and the radar guns, and to watch Brian Taylor throw live, and being on the ray gun, which we've discussed in the past, being 4 to 5 miles an hour slower than the jugs gun at the time, and he was sitting 97, 98 miles an hour. And was throwing an 85 mile an hour curveball that you couldn't hit with the surfboard if they would have given it to you. So to get to see him throw prior to that fateful night where he injured himself in a fight protecting his brother, that would have been something special to see. You never know because obviously things happen on your way up there, but he was legit, and it was something to. Florida State League, you don't get a lot of fans. So when the place is packed because they know that Brian Taylor was throwing and it was the real deal. That was something to behold way back in the day.
Do you have a
position player?
Yeah.
Come back to me. I got to think about that.
I'll come back to you on that one. All right, Rocco, I'm going to go to you because Brian Taylor apparently says happy birthday to you for some reason. I don't know why.
3 years running. 3 years running.
Spoken to him?
Nope, never. Just happy birthday. There you go, Rocco. All right.
Yeah, hey man, that's cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm
I'm going real old school with my pitcher, going Smokey Joe Wood. Back in the dead ball era, he was. I wrote about him in my first book. He was 117 and 56 with a 1.99 ERA by the time he was 25. Then he fell, fielding the grounder, broke his thumb, and his pitching career was done. Tried to come back as a center fielder, but this was a guy that Walter Johnson had said was the hardest, harder throwing than him.
Wow.
Nobody throws as hard as Smokey Joe Wood. So it would have been cool to see a full career out of him. And my position player, there's a lot, I'm sure all names are going to come up, but I'm going Lyman Bostock, late 70s there.
Oh, good call. Good call.
Shot and killed. Him and Rod Carew were teammates. And
That's right.
Lyman, he was up there, man. He had some great years early on, a lot of speed. Him and Rod, a little young to remember it, but seeing him and Carew at the top of the lineup there would have been something. So, young guy, tragically killed, mistaken identity. And it would have been cool to see a full career out of Lyman Bostock.
Yeah, that's definitely an injury-shortened career, too. Jeez.
Yeah,
Man. But, okay, good. All right, Wayne, let's go to you.
Pitcher, since you already said Koufax, somebody was mentioned earlier, Johan Santana. I would like to see him healthy for longer. I think we'd be talking about him as a Hall of Famer now.
I agree.
As position player, it's kind of a tie. Definitely Don Mattingly, without question. And
Good one.
and another one. Well, Mattingly was my favorite player forever since the day I saw him play. And wow, I think his numbers could have been pretty great.
It wouldn't be a question, right? It wouldn't be a question.
There wouldn't be any question.
Right.
And a tie with him would be Lou Gehrig, actually, to see how many, just where he could have went with the home runs.
Because his numbers are off the charts.
Yes.
Incredible.
The guy that protected Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special player.
That's incredible. Will, I know who you're going to go with for your pitcher, but we didn't get into position player too much.
I'm going to echo you on Mantle, because it happened so early in his career, and then he was so prolific afterwards.
Yeah.
What could he have done?
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't have both the injury and the disease of alcoholism, like what was he able to actually roll out there? It's mind-boggling what he did without an ACL. And pitcher, no question for me is Mark Pryor.
Yeah.
Just because, excuse me. I mean, if you look at his numbers from 2003, they are bananas. Through 200 innings, walked less than around two guys per nine, striking out 10 per nine. I mean, he was as dominant as you could be in a rookie season. And then when he ran into Marcus Giles at second base, he was never the same again. He was always searching for it, and to his credit, and ultimately to his downfall, I mean, they could never find anything specific that was wrong, but something was off. Something was significantly off. And I remember when he first came up, he was regimented. He was programmed to be a big league star.
Yeah.
And when Unit saw him pitch. Unit was there. Guys would go out and just watch him. Like veterans would go out and watch him play catch because it was so pretty. Like he just playing catch, and you're like, dude, how does he move like that? And you're talking about early 2000s, 97 out the hand, with an absolute hammer and just a devastating changeup.
He was the prototype, right? He was definitely the prototype.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Steven Strasburg is a close second on
That's
Very much
funny
so.
you say that.
Very
I
much
was
so.
going to say the inverted W. They say that the guys with the inverted W or the inverted L are guys that end up. You're definitely going to blow your elbow out, and they both ended up with. Well, I mean, pretty much everybody does. How many of us have had TJ? Am I the only guy? Okay, there we go. I figured as much. But
Wainwright has an inverted W, but he's still clicking around.
I know. And he never did. He had Tommy John, right? Wainwright, I believe he did.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, they say the guys with the inverted W or the inverted L were always going to be on the TJ list. That's where your elbows are above your shoulder. I don't know if everybody is following.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, exactly. Well, I know that you guys do.
Thank you, Unit.
I was talking maybe to Chris, maybe. Sorry, Chris. No disrespect, man.
You guys covered the. You guys covered the
It takes
pitchers.
more than that, man. Don't worry. That's fine.
What was that, Glendon?
I said you guys covered the pitchers. I love Wills, of course. I love Mark, and he's a good friend, and I worked with him with the Padres. So yes, I would have loved to see him pitch. 15 straight years like that. I'm going to say 2 modern era position players that I would love. One's still going and one's done, but Ken Griffey Jr. and Mike Trout. I would love to see those guys. The career numbers could be. I mean, Griffey's already were astronomical. Trout's been the best. Like over a 10-year span, was probably the best player in Major League Baseball. But now can't stay on the field, which really stinks. But those 2 guys for sure.
Yeah, Trout's a good one.
I'm gonna go Bo Jackson.
I was thinking Bo Jackson too.
Yeah. First time I go Bo Jackson.
Yeah, Bo Jackson is my position player because I was just a specimen. And he was just getting better. He was getting better when he at baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is absolutely
insane to think.
Does he still have the? I know. Other sport that he played, obviously NFL. Doesn't he still have the most yards per carry by a running back?
Yeah,
I know he has the most yards after running through the stadium.
Yeah,
Ego.
I think it was like 5.5.
Yeah, and he still holds the record for the combine, the 40-yard.
Oh, my God.
Wait, Bo Jackson has the record on the 40-yard dash at the combine.
At the combine, yeah.
Really?
I thought that was Chris Johnson.
No, I saw him talking about it a couple weeks ago. Actually, Bo Jackson still has it.
And he was a train, not some little defensive back or wide receiver. That was
Hey, pulling something out of our text thread. This just reminds me of Glendon. Like, people now don't realize, you got the Coach Prime thing going on in Colorado, but people don't realize now how into himself he was in the early 90s when prime time was in his prime time.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was special. The dude showed up at the combine, ran a 4.2 cold, and then walked out.
That was
just said, I'm good. See you guys on draft.
I got a good little Dion story. The first time I ever faced him at home plate, I was too busy looking down at his feet trying to figure out what in the world those spikes were that he had on. And I don't know if you watched the game this past weekend. He had those shoes on, the black and white. They look kind of like a zebra. And I remember I'm too busy looking down at his feet to even get a sign from Hundley. Like, what in the world does this guy have on his feet? Those are the coolest shoes I've ever seen in my life.
Did you ever hear the Barry Bonds story on those spikes?
No.
Because this one's not false, Glendon. It's a spring training story. So he steps to the plate in spring training. He's facing the Cubs, and catcher's name it's not Service. It was Cody. Name's escaping me. It'll come to me at some point. But he steps in the box, and catcher looks at him, and he goes, "Nice spikes, Bear." And he goes, "Watch these go deep." First pitch, Yahtzee. Okay, comes around, touches home plate, takes it to the house. And like a week and a half later, different pitcher, same catcher, steps to the plate, and he looks at the catcher. He goes, "Hey, a lot of us can do it once. Very few of us can do it twice." First pitch, Yahtzee.
And this was prime time.
No, this is Barry.
Yeah.
Wearing those zebra spikes.
Yeah. I tell you,
that's the only reason I remember those god awful things.
Prime time run down from the batter's box to first base. I don't think he even touched the ground. That guy could scoop, man. He could fly.
Dude, he led the NL in triples in playing 97 games.
God, Mike.
That's unbelievable. Well, I'm going to. Wayne had brought this up that maybe we should kind of touch on this a little bit. Let's do our MVP picks for this year, shall we? AL, the odds-on favorite is Ohtani, even if he got shut down. I saw something earlier. It was like, I don't know, like minus 20,000, whatever the hell that means. With the odds for him. I'm not even sure what that means, but I'm pretty sure it means that they're just going to hand him the award. But the NL is a little more interesting. You got Freddie Freeman, you got Ronald Acuna Jr., and you got Mookie Betts. They're kind of the three of them are kind of going for it. Apparently, a lot of people I've been seeing are saying it's really Acuna and Mookie going head to head with Freeman kind of getting in there. Freeman's having a hell of a season, but curious as to your thoughts on it. Let's go around this way. Wayne, I'll start with you.
American League, it's going to be Ohtani. There's just no question about it. It doesn't seem like anybody else is even remotely close to him.
Nobody's talking about anybody else.
Yeah, there's nobody even being talked about. That's the truth. And National League, my heart wants Freddie Freeman to win it, but my head says Acuna's going to win it. Yeah. And deservedly so. I mean, his numbers are spectacular.
He's
got over 200 hits, too, already. So.
Does he? I didn't know that he had that already.
Yeah.
It was 60 steals, something.
Yeah, sick numbers.
Yeah, but do they count? I don't know if they count. You gotta like a 15% discount or something, man.
There is something. Yeah, there should be
the stolen base percentage this year is higher than Rickey Henderson had in his career.
Listen, Manfred.
If that doesn't tell you something's off.
That's actually really interesting. I've never heard that before. Glendon, who do you think? NL. I mean, unless you have some weird dark horse for the AL. But
I completely agree with Wayne. I think it's going to be Acuna and Ohtani. And one tidbit I'd like to throw in is, could Manfred intervene in college football? Because I watched one quarter of the other one, and it was an hour and a half.
I almost fell asleep.
I'll move on.
Yeah. It's the longest quarter of football I've ever seen in my entire life. 41
penalties. It was unbelievable. And here's the worst part. You got to watch the kids that are hurt or not on the roster. They're over there in sunglasses with towels. It's awful. Stop.
It's a wee bit much.
A little much. Rocco, how about you with the MVP?
Same. I can't see anybody beating Ohtani. I think Corey Seager's an interesting case. But he missed so much of the season. I don't think he's going to have enough games. If he had 30 more games, maybe he'd push Ohtani. But I think it's Shohei, and it'll be interesting. I think Acuna wins it, and deservedly so. But the stolen bases and run score, that's a big part of it. I'm just wondering if some voters might discount that with the extra bases and the different rules, or you get a split vote with the Atlanta guys. Some people might go Olsen or something like that, and then Mookie Betts sneaks in there. But I think it's going to be Acuna and Shohei.
Will, your turn.
Yeah, I got the same. The only question being the NL, and Acuna for me takes that. He's hitting darn near 340.
Yeah.
Mookie's hitting 311, 312. Good for him. He's having a heck of a season. The fact that he's doing it at his weight class is impressive. But Acuna, what's weird about the MVP is it's supposed to be the person who does the most. So rarely do you have that Andre Dawson type thing where you have a last place team and a best player. And I'd like to see something like that happen sooner or later. Where you get that? Mike Trout's got a couple.
Kind of getting that with Ohtani. You 2 out of the last 3 years, you're going to get that. They're a terrible team, and they'd be terrible without him. So, that's and then when Trout was winning it too. It's not like they weren't setting the world.
No, it's a shame that those guys haven't played. I don't think a meaningful game.
Trout played one playoff game?
Yeah, it's brutal. But if you honestly go, and I'm not stumping for him because I know him. But if you honestly go with who has made the biggest impact on a team, regardless of league, I actually think it's the Diamondbacks GM. I think it's Mike Hazen. just because of what he did on a half rebuild.
Yeah,
And the fact that they're still, I mean, they're almost close to cementing one of the wild card spots, and they have a team that is really, really young.
Yeah, they're going to be around a while.
Yeah, and in that division, I mean, like San Diego underperformed. San Francisco did what they were supposed to. Cubs went on a tear. I agree with Glendon's prediction from a couple weeks back that the Cubs were going to make the playoffs for sure. But I just think what they've done here in the desert has been unbelievably impressive. I mean, there's some luck to it too because their run differential is still sub-zero. So they've had some good things happen to them. What'd you say?
That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah. Rarely do you see a negative run differential turn into a winning record.
Yeah, that's odd.
They don't like Sunday day games, maybe. Everybody's a little hungover. They get blown out in those days.
Well, Bill, I mean,
don't play them with the Cubs.
Hey, I used to say for years that's why the Cubs never won a World Series. They never knew whether they were coming or going. Between playing so many day games and then switching to night games when you're going on the road, that had to be a huge issue for years and years and years.
It was tough actually. Yeah. Of all the managers I played with there, Lou Piniella was actually the best at it, at managing that, because we'd come in from wherever. I mean, Chicago's centrally located, so our flights weren't bad. But we'd come back from having 7 games on the road, all night games,
right? And
our first day in, it didn't matter when it was scheduled. There was no BP. It was a show and go.
Right.
And then the next day was the hitters were in the cage, and then the next day we'd actually get into on field. And so he did a really
much on the field anymore anywhere in the big leagues. I don't think BP on the field is much of a thing, from what I'm gathering, which is strange.
Based on the article I read in the Athletic, the San Diego Padres are front office is absolutely burying those guys with on field work.
Now or all year?
All year.
Well,
all year, top down. That's their thing is get more in.
The new age players don't like it, I guess. Can you imagine if we got to wear shorts and t-shirts during batting practice, not being on the road in uniform?
Ooh,
I had Bobby.
This is a minor league skit.
Bobby Cox got me on the warning track in Fulton County Stadium. Came over and introduced himself to me after their batting practice. And he said, I don't think Dallas would appreciate you being in shorts and a T-shirt with the gates open. And I had no idea what he was talking about because I was only in the big leagues for a few days at the time. I was getting my running in. And I didn't realize that there was a rule. Once the gates were open, you had to be in uniform. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Because every photo I see of batting practice guys are in not even the same T-shirt, like whatever T-shirt they had made up and a pair of shorts and a hat on backwards. And now I know that I'm old because I'm bitching about it.
I saw Bobby Cox waddle down the left field line in Atlanta and actually stop another team from playing catch during our BP because he felt it was disrespectful.
Yeah.
He's like, let us finish, and then you can throw.
Well, you remember when we came up, there was no fraternization rule. You weren't allowed to talk to each other during batting practice. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore.
That changed towards the end of mine.
Did it? I know it was a thing when I came up, but again, I came up too long ago, I guess.
There were still smags in the dugout when you came up.
Yeah. And the managers will still wear cleats.
That's right.
Jim Leland.
Jimmy Leland had spikes on.
Jim Leland in the '97 World Series is priceless. If you ever get to watch any of that, because any of the times that the camera in Miami it was shot straight out of the left field foul pole, and so it was just staring right at him. And anytime they clipped to him, you'd see smoke coming out of his collar like he was a volcano.
No,
I had Ron Washington into his shirt.
That's awesome.
I had Ron Washington as a manager in the minor leagues, and he used to smoke Cools in the dugout.
Cools?
Yeah. And he'd blow a bubble. He would blow a bubble, and the bubble would pop, and smoke would come out of the bubble.
Those are the good old days, man.
Yes, sir.
They need to bring that back.
Oh, man. Well, Phil, I never got your MVP picks, man.
All right. Mine are probably going to be the same. I will say this. You guys, you did, the Andre Dawson thing, obviously, with the guy that's going to be on a losing ball club and win it. But the fact that Shohei can do what he does at the plate as well as do something on the do what he does on the mound, I think that kind of separates him from Andre Dawson. And Andre Dawson was obviously a spectacular baseball player. And I do like Mookie Betts, but I think Will hit it on the head as well with the numbers with Acuna. And you guys, I think we're all on the same page.
Yep.
And I'm kind of an NL East guy, even though he's a Brave and I was a Met. And but still, you got to be a little bit of root for the NL East a little bit. And I will take the 15% discount on the stolen bases, but you can't take anything else away from what the guy's doing. He's a tremendous baseball player, and he's earning his MVP award, I believe.
So that is going to bring us to our final thoughts. We're going to just go around and give me a fun baseball story, anything you want, or you can complain about anything you want, or you can say hello to your aunt in Mississippi.
I'm going to go back again with Ron Washington as my manager in the Columbia Bombers, which was the Sally League, same year that he was blowing the bubbles and the smoke coming out. Mark Kroon, who had a brief time in the major leagues, more successful career in Japan, 100-mile-an-hour right-hander before there was 100-mile-an-hour right-handers. When we all played in the minor leagues, obviously, if you remember, they would have the mascot race a kid. The kid would come into the stands and the mascot would race. Well, Bomber the Mouse was our mascot, and one night, Bomber comes out to race the guy. He blows the kid out of the water, runs all the way around, and Ron Washington yells, "God damn, Bomber got some long-ass legs tonight." And it was Mark Kroon dressed as Bomber the Mouse, and he beat the kid, and he's not supposed to beat the kid. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's a good one. Will, since we're going backwards, you're up.
All right, well, I just want to support local businesses and say thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Say thank you for the hat, much appreciated. Bill and I are twins now. I was trying to represent with this garbage, which you can't see through Wayne's face. Let's see. Final thoughts. I'll say hello to my extended family in Mississippi. Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Look at you go. Nice.
Yeah, they're in
That's great.
yeah, they're in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi.
Well, I completely made that up, so I'm glad that actually worked.
Yeah.
But, all right, Rocco, let's go to you.
My final thoughts are going about a substitute teacher that Chris and I both had in high school by the name of Phil Cuzzi, Major League umpire. He was a substitute teacher in high school. And if you saw him eject somebody last night, it was great going around on Twitter. You see him yell out, "Fuck me, fuck you," and he throws the guy out. And the cameras picked it up. And if you knew where Chris and I were from, where it's nothing but Italians, I mean, you walk down the street and you hear that coming out of every bar. And
coming out of church,
right? So, man, that was a highlight for me. Phil Cuzzi throwing out Alex Cintron, his Astros hitting coach, dropping the F-bombs on
Alex Cintron, also known as Beetlejuice.
Oh.
Yes, the tiny head. The tiny head. That's right.
Sorry.
Glendon.
Final thought, I'd like to say hi to all the guys down at work. Slap shot.
I'm listening to the fucking song.
Wayne, go ahead, man.
Bill's story reminded me of a story I heard when I was in A-ball. John Shelby, who I'm sure you guys know, he was a center fielder for the Orioles and the Dodgers.
Yep.
Two of them. He was my manager. He was telling me a story when he was playing in Baltimore, and Frank Robinson was the manager. And he said they were sitting there talking, and it was right before the game started, and the Oriole mascot was up on top of their dugout, dancing and just doing his act. And all of a sudden, the Oriole mascot slipped and fell off the roof into the dugout. You know, had to drop down. That's a long fall, man. And he just crashed right in front of Frank. And and John Shelby, and he goes, Frank's just sitting there looking at him. All of a sudden, he goes down. Looks like he's getting ready to help this guy up, and he reaches down and he goes, "Hey, dummy, you forgot to flap your wings." That's it. Didn't even help him up. Funniest story I ever heard.
Oh my God.
I could see Frank Robinson telling that, or Frank Robinson saying that. That was the funniest story I ever heard.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and this is all Rocco's fault because he brought up umpires. So everybody's favorite, Joe West, the cowboy.
Oh yeah,
Country.
And so this actually reminded me. So my son's playing in a tournament, and the lights go out, and they have to stop and delay and whatever, and the lights come back on, and somebody's asking me, well, how long does it take to get back on? And me knowing too much, I was like, well, it depends if they're halogen or LED. But it's all born out of this game. And Unit, I think you were there. It was the day that Henry Blanco stepped to the plate. There's 2 outs. Henry's hitting like a solid 208 at this point in the season.
Right above the men.
And there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. So he's raking, and the lights come on the automatic timer at Wrigley. And it's right before the at-bat, and Joe West just goes, "Time!" And everybody's like, "What?" And, he has to have a conversation. He ends up getting lights turned off because, according to the rules, there can be no unfair advantage to the home team.
Couldn't turn the lights on until the top of the next inning.
Couldn't turn it on until the top of the inning.
Yeah.
So, fine, okay, play resumes. Henry Blanco hits a double. We score a run to go. We score a run to tie it up or something like that. And then inning ends shortly thereafter. Well, now he goes, okay, turn on the lights. Well, those were the old halogen bulbs at Wrigley. From like they were put there when Bruce Sutter was still pitching.
Yeah.
Okay. Rick Sutcliffe on the bump, and so they have to cool down before you can turn them on, and then they have to warm back up.
Yeah.
So we sat there in a delay in a game. There's no rain. There's no nothing. It's just a arbitrary rule by Joe West at that point to enforce. And we sat there for 25 minutes waiting for him to cool down before they ever came back on. And both the managers finally walked out, got in Joe's face, and were just like, just fucking play the game, man. We don't even care.
Unreal.
Joe West.
Yeah. And when they finally came back on, there were 2 outs in the top of the 6th. It ended up being like a 25-minute delay.
Oh, good God, man.
Yeah. Luckily, we were already into the relievers at that point. It was one of our stellar years with the Cubs. I think we averaged about 4 1/3 out of our starting rotation that year. I saw Joe West stop a game before he started one too.
Adrian Beltre moving the on-deck circle.
yeah, that's the
best.
Only thing better was watching people try to touch Adrian Beltre's head, maybe. That was always pretty entertaining as well.
That's one of my favorite things around. I forgot, who was it that used to chase him around like all the time? Was it like Elvis Andrus?
Andrews, yeah.
Yep.
You just chase him everywhere and try and
Every time there was a mound huddle, he'd tap him real quick.
Okay, we are now at the point where our ombudsman, Rocco Constantino, is going to tell us what we might have botched during this episode here. He's been furiously typing away, fact-checking. Rocco, the floor is yours, my man.
All right, here we go. Blake Snell, 104 pitches, was a 0-0 game when he came out. Has never pitched a complete game in his career, so tough call to have him continue there.
Wow.
And they're saying, with free agency, could have been his last start at Petco. Could have been a good way to go out at Petco. Could have been a maybe final nail in his Cy Young, but never had a complete game in his career. That's something. Edwin Jackson's 149 pitches, 8 walks, 9 strikeouts. He had 79, almost 50-50 balls and strikes. 79 strikes, 70 balls.
Effectively wild.
That's warrior stuff right there.
Sticking on the no-hitters, Nolan Ryan's second no-hitter caught by Art Kushner. I think Bill's story is probably pretty accurate. 9 innings pitched for Nolan, 17 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And the no-hitter, nobody's touching him that night. Talking about giving up home runs to light hitting players, Glendon Rusch on this date in 1997 gave up the second to last career home run Bip Roberts ever hit. That was home run number 29.
Leon.
Nice.
One more
Tough
the next
anniversary.
year, and that was that.
Leon.
More good coming with Glendon later. Lou Gehrig talked about career ended with 493 homers and 1995 RBIs. So it would have been something to see him get 500 and 2,000. Only 5 guys that ever had 2,000 RBIs. He probably would have been the all-time RBI king at that point. 340 career average, crazy.
Forget about it.
Bo Jackson's 40 time story there. Chris Johnson has a 4.24. Ron Wolf said that he timed Bo Jackson at 4.16, which would be the record. And for his part in it, Bo Jackson says he ran a 4.13, not a 4.16.
I believe Bo, man.
Backwards. All right. And then got the following lefty pitchers were teammates with Glendon Rusch and Rickey Henderson. You got Al Leiter, Kenny Rogers, Dennis Cook, John Franco, Mike Hampton, Bill Pulsipher, but Glendon Rusch was lefty.
Yeah.
That's what I got for you.
Well, that's good stuff as usual. So, gentlemen, I want to say thank you once again. This has been episode 4 of Southpaw. So, thank you, Wayne, Glendon, Rocco, Will, Bill. To quote Phil Cuzzi, fuck me, fuck you. Thank you.